Dre Spector Boxing here with another video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the bell notification, that way you stay up to date on the latest content as I add it to the channel. Again, man, hit that like button, man. It's one of the easiest things to do when you get to the channel, man. If you like the video, it really does help on my channel and help get more viewers and more people get some of this content. Now I'm gonna jump right into this, man. It's Canelo Alvarez, man. And Canelo, man. What are we gonna do with Canelo, man? Like, we get this guy a pass. Well, a lot of the boxing community get this guy a pass. He stays on the top of the pound for pound list. And he's inactive right now. He hasn't been fighting. He usually fights whoever he wants to fight. He just makes it up as he goes. He never fights the top prime champions. He always fight somebody a little bit past their prime, or he fights lesser competition. It's just I don't like what I see from Canelo. I think he was forced to fight Triple G, and in the first Triple G fight, I felt like he lost the first Triple G fight because he was scared to pull the trigger all night in the first fight, and they gave him a gifted draw in the first Triple G fight. And the second fight, I think he outright outworked Triple G, stepped to him, and he took it to him, and he beat him fair and square. I didn't see any problem with the second fight, and I didn't even need a sight of a trilogy. I'm not asking for a trilogy from Canelo. I think he's way better than Triple G. I think that if he would have did the same thing that he did in the second fight, in the first fight, you know what I mean, his skills are way more superior than Triple G. I just think he was scared of that quote unquote power, that this mystical power that Triple G is supposed to possess, which I don't believe in, but that's just me. I never had to get in the ring with him and get hit by him, but I think Canelo was able to take his power very well, and once he found out that he could take his power very well, he did step it up in the second fight, and he washed Triple G. Triple G was a game champion, but Canelo again washed him. But that's neither here or there. My video today is about the response of Canelo's trainer, EDDY REYNOSO, to a potential fight with Errol Spence Jr. Now, EDDY REYNOSO was talking about the fight with Errol Spence and saying that in order to make a fight with Errol Spence, it'd be very difficult at this time to make that fight. And that's why he doesn't see it in the near future, because right now, after a year-long layoff, and I'm gonna put the link to the interview in the description box below. But he said he could not make 160 after being off a year. And my thing is, what have you been doing to not be able to make weight after being off a whole year? I understand you haven't had a fight date. I understand you didn't know what weight class you were gonna fight, but I've seen Canelo training. So why can't he make the weight? Like, I really don't understand it as a professional. But also because he's a 160-pound titleist. Why can't you make 160 pounds if you're a 160-pound titleist? He's a franchise champion with the WBC. He's also I think the WBA champion, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the WBA. But in any case, he's a 160-pound champion. So what does this mean? Is he gonna vacate? He has no plans to vacate, but he does have a track record of vacating belts. He doesn't unify. The 175-pound title that he won, vacated. The 168-pound title that he won, vacated. And they always come up with these reasons of why they have to vacate or why they decide to go in a different direction, and we just always give them a pat on the back and a pass. But it remains, Canelo vacates. He doesn't fight. He doesn't fight mandatories. He makes up how he goes along in the sport. He campaigns at 3 different weight classes, whatever's convenient. The tougher competition usually don't get a shot at him. Jamal Charlo has been chasing him down for years. EDDY REYNOSO said that's a fight that possibly can happen next year. I'm looking forward to that if they're gonna hold their word and they're gonna try to make that fight next year. Because he said that's something that's intriguing to him. He thinks it's an easy fight, but it could be an easy fight that he thinks is, that could be difficult. So he did, leave himself that out. But it's a lot said from Canelo's camp, man, and it's like who's leading them over there? I think Oscar De La Hoya has failed Canelo in a major way. I think they tried to do the Floyd Mayweather blueprint and just kind of pick who you're gonna fight, but this is not a guy who's at the end of his career picking fights. This is a guy in the prime of his career. Canelo Alvarez is 30 years old. So at the prime of his career, he's picking and choosing who he wants to fight and parading like he's the king of the world when he doesn't. I feel like he lacks, the fortitude to challenge himself. And I'm not even sure if it's Canelo. Let me digress. Let me back up. But I believe that Golden Boy Promotions doesn't match make him with the challenges necessary to go down as one of the greats. I'm always gonna have an asterisk by it because of the way they go about doing it. Now he can still catch up. He can fight Jamal Charlo. He can fight some of the more tougher competition at 168. I would love to see Canelo versus Jose Benavidez. Not Jose. David Benavidez. I'd like to see some of these matchups. These are some of the matchups that I would like to see. And if he's going to campaign at 175, then better be or Bivol. He's going to have to fight those guys, to get any credit, because fighting a twice knocked out Kovalev, who didn't appear to be anything close near to the Crusher, that's not going to get it for me. You're going to have to fight, tougher competition up there. You're going to have to unify somewhere. You're going to have to unify with prime champions in their prime. I haven't seen him unify with prime champions. That includes Triple G fight. That wasn't a prime champion. It was an old Triple G as well, past his prime. I'm just being real. That Triple G version of Triple G didn't knock anybody down. Didn't have that mystical power that he's known to have. Let's be honest, that Triple G is aging out fast, and I surely don't want to see a third trilogy fight with Triple G. It's not of my interest. I thought that Canelo is the better man, period, because I don't believe in Triple G. I never have. I thought that he could beat lesser opposition that was put in front of him because it was a weak division, a weak middleweight once Andre Ward left the middleweight division. So Triple G took over and he did what he had to do. He basically was the best at middleweight. But this just goes back to say, talking about Canelo, that he just kind of goes and does his own thing, and we give him a pass, and I'm tired of giving him a pass. Like I said, I can't put him on the pound for pound list. He was number one at one point on my pound for pound list. He was top 3 in the last few years, for sure. But I can no longer justify putting him at the top of the pound for pound list without top competition and challenging himself and unifying. And you see other guys doing it in other weight divisions. You see a guy with 16 fights, unifying all the titles at 135. You see a guy in Jermell Charlo unifying at 154, winning all the titles. And then you see Canelo just campaigning anywhere, and he's only a 160-pound titleist because he doesn't have a title at 168 or 175, but he's not even unifying at 160. And then you hear news like this, he can't even make the weight to unify at 160 right now because he's been off for a year. Like what? Like hear the logic in that. He hasn't fought in a year, so it'd be difficult for him to make 160. Like, how does that sound? Like, really? When you think about Canelo, if he's a 160-pound champion, he should be able to fight at 160 pounds or vacate the belt. Give it to the guys who can make the weight, who can fight at the weight. If I was a boxing sanction and I hear something like this, I'll be pressuring Canelo to fight a mandatory at 160, or fight or unify a champion at 160. But he's been elevated to franchise stature where he doesn't have to make weight. He doesn't have to fight mandatories. He was able to duck in the WBC, and Lord knows what he's doing over there with the WBA. Does he even plan to go back to 160? So he's just babysitting the belt and he's not even fighting or campaigning at the division. Like, this shit, it makes no sense. And this is the politics of boxing that's ruining boxing, ruining the sport, putting everybody else on hold. The young guys who are hungry and want to come up and get those championships are on the outs, have to wait forever to get title shots. This is ridiculous, man. And this is not the sport that I fell in love with, that we like to see. We like to see the best fighting the best. Everybody getting their just due and their fair shake, and they're able to go out there and challenge themselves. But we're not seeing that day to day right now. I understand the pandemic, but even outside the pandemic, this wasn't happening. Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, they hand choose and hand pick some of the crappiest fights I've ever seen. It's usually past prime. Daniel Jacobs, past prime champion. Who else? Triple G was past his prime, even though they had to force him to fight Triple G. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting ridiculous over there on the Canelo side. I need to see this guy fight top competition. I think he's one of the best fighters in the world. So it may generate and come off as hate. This is not hate. This is putting the pressure on these guys to fight better competition, man. We want to see guys fight better competition. And this just doesn't go for Canelo. This goes for all the top champions, man, who are just babysitting belts and not unifying, not fighting the top of competition, not fighting the top mandatories, and not challenging themselves, man. We want to see better fights, and that's all across the board, every division. I want to see unified. I want to hear undisputed in more than just one or two divisions. I want to see this stuff, man, and it's not out the realm of possibility. And I think that it could be done. We just gonna have to keep on putting the pressure on these fighters to step up and challenge themselves, not be scared to take losses, not be scared to take the chances to get those belts. But that's Dre Speck. Let me know what you think about Canelo's career choices right now, but also Canelo's trainer, and saying that he cannot make that it's going to be difficult for him to make 160, yet Canelo holds a 160-pound championship. Like, I can't justify that. How he holds a 160-pound championship, but he can't campaign or compete at the weight at the moment because he's had a year layoff, which in a year's time he should have been staying around the weight in which he needs to compete at, which he holds a title at, because he wants to compete at 168. Why are you still holding on to a belt at 160 if you have no intentions of unifying in that division or fighting the other top competition that's coming up at 160 pounds? That's Dre Spective. That's all I got for you, and I'm out.